Today we're going to talk about selectors, which is a CSS term. A selector is how you can specify what you want to change the style of. So for example, if we want to change the style of just this image or just this image, or maybe we want to change the style of all of these images, we can use selectors to do that. So first thing, let's look at what we're dealing with. There are a bunch of images over here that we cannot see. It's some pottery, and we're going to paint the pottery, give it a glaze. So I want to select all of these images here and change the background color. So if I want to select every single image within my document, the thing that they have in common is that they use the IMG. So we're just going to put IMG, little curly bracket, and then change the background color. And let's do red. So now this is our result. Every single image in my document changed. And when you're dealing with just basic tags, that's all you need to put, okay? Now let's say we just want to paint the pots or vases that have handles, so we can see we have a teapot, some mugs, and what I've done over here is I've given them all class names. So a class name is a way to differentiate from other elements. And we can't just put handle here for our selector. With a class name, our selector has to have a period before. So we're going to put dot handle, and now we are just applying that background color to the pots that have handles. Now let's say we want to just paint the vases. So here we have a group of vases, and they're inside of a div with an ID name of vases. So let's try it. Now ID names are a little different. Instead of using a period, we're going to use # or hashtag vases. Now the problem with this is it's actually going to apply that background color to the entire section and not the individual images. If I want to select the images inside of the vases div, I'm going to use a space. So if I do # vases space IMG, I am now selecting just the images inside of the vases. So it's just going to be all of these images here. Same thing, like if I want to just change the tableware images, it is inside of a div with the ID name of tableware. So I'm going to select that and then space IMG, and we're just applying it to those ones. Let's say we just want to do this bottom row. So it's inside of a section tag, this little T set. So if I were to select section space IMG, it would select the two sections I have here and down here. But if I just want to select the section that's inside of the tableware div, okay, we can use that space again. So we'll do # tableware, space section, space IMG. We have now selected the images inside of the section inside of the tableware div. Alright, we're going to get a little bit more complicated with our selectors. We're going to learn about pseudo classes and pseudo elements. So let's select all of the handled pottery pieces. So I'm going to do dot handle, and then for my pseudo class I'm going to do colon and then hover. So pseudo classes and pseudo elements use that colon, and it's to specify specific states of that object. So of the handle pieces, we're going to change the background color of it when you hover over it. So if I do background dash color colon blue, now when I come over here and hover over those pieces, they're going to change. If I were to change it to img:hover, then that hover effect would apply to every single one. So it's just talking about a specific state of that object. Now another pseudo class that we have is active. And active basically means not necessarily when you're hovering, but when you're actively clicking on it, and it will change. So as I'm clicking, click, 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 and it changes. But just while I'm clicking on it. So another thing we can do with pseudo classes is only select the even ones or the odd ones or the first one. So if I do img:, nth child, parentheses, and between the parentheses I can put even, I can put odd, 1, 2. So let's first try even and see what this does. So that's going to color the even numbered images blue, and if I did odd, it would color the odd images blue. I could even do 3, and then it's going to color every third image blue, and it does it within each group. So with the third one within the vases, the third one within the section. So now we're going to talk about pseudo elements, and this is selecting something within a specific element. So for example, this paragraph is one single element. So if we just select the P tag and change the color to red, it's going to change that entire paragraph. And the only way to select things within that element is by using pseudo elements. So we're going to do P, and then for pseudo elements it always uses 2 colons. So colon, colon, and let's first try doing first dash letter. So that is going to color just the first letter of my paragraph. Let's make that font size a little bit bigger so you can see it. Whoops. So there we have it. Selecting the first letter within the paragraph. You can do first letter, you can also do first line. That's going to take that entire line and give it some style. Another example of a pseudo element is the marker pseudo element. So let's say we want to change the bullet points on the list, but we don't want to change the entire list. If we were to just select UL and change the color to red, it's going to change everything in the list. Even if we just select LI, it's still going to change everything within that list. But if we do LI::, markers, so we're selecting the markers within the list, then it's just going to change those bullet points. So pseudo elements can be really helpful for selecting specific things within an element. The last way of selecting things that I wanted to talk about is selecting something based on their attribute. So remember, an attribute is additional information inside of a tag. So here's my tag, and I have an SRC attribute and a width attribute. So you can select things based on what attribute they have. So we're going to do img square brackets, and then our attribute is the width attribute. We'll do width equals quotes 250. So we are selecting that image based on the width being 250. And we'll change the background color to blue. If I were to put that attribute on something else, like this image down here, then that will also be included in the selection. And this could be any attribute. Like, let's say we wanted to select based on the SRC being, let's do pottery-02.png. So it's going to select all the images that are this pottery 2 PNG. So it's going to select all of those pots. Now, there's a lot of ways to select things and a lot more than I mentioned, but this is a good start to get you going, and you can always look stuff up and figure out more ways of selecting things. So good luck.